I originally wrote and recorded this video at around 2 o'clock in the morning during a pretty rough night. I was lying there awake, overthinking things, and if there's one thing that I've learned throughout my life, it's that sometimes it's best to just turn everything off for a while. But I continued thinking down this road for some time, until something hit me. Inspiration. When inspiration hits, I'm never one to shy away from it. But this, man, this hit me like crazy. So, I began to write, which turned into, admittedly, a very incoherent mess, but I recorded it anyway. The next day, surprisingly, I had pretty much forgotten it, which is funny considering how much I was feeling it at the time, but I ended up going on to write and record some different things instead. However, very recently, I looked back on what I wrote, and I was kind of surprised at what I had written down. But when I listened to it again, I realized something wasn't right. I've grown a bit from that time, and figured some stuff out and all that, but I wanted to make something out of it. So here we are, taking another crack at the idea, and I feel like this one hits really close to home. Do you have that one game in your life where everything just felt right? Now I'm not only talking about the game itself, but the time you played it, and the place you played it in, that sort of thing. For me, that game was Pokémon Platinum. Man, I remember the whole damn thing. My friend told me about the game, and how he loved everything about it. However, growing up, Pokemon was considered to be really childish and stupid. That's what I remember at least, and maybe I'm wrong, but in my area, the series wasn't considered the shit at the time. But after watching my friend play it for a while, I had a strong desire to play the game myself, and so I did. I remember the cashier being a real hard-ass too. I was like, 10 years old at the time? And the guy wouldn't let me take the game home with me because I was a nickel short. Maybe he was having a bad day at the time, and if so, I hope he's doing better. I just found it funny. But back on track here, I bought my copy of Platinum around the summer of 2009, almost a year after the game's original release. And let me tell ya, my first experience with that game was unlike anything I'd ever experienced at this point. Everything was so exciting to 10-year-old me.
Is the light in your eyes? Yeah.
The world was vibrant and full of life. I love how each area looked distinct from the other, and just how pretty the game looked. I'm a serious sucker for pixelated visuals, and this game had that going in spades. Then there was the gameplay, which I couldn't get enough of. I think this was the first RPG I ever played now that I think about it, and the combat was so fresh and new to me. I loved how awesome the attacks looked, and how certain types were super effective against others. However, I found it odd that ice didn't beat fire. Now I know, yeah, fire melts ice and all that, but that's exactly it. Ice turns to water, which puts out fire. Oh well. Anyway, I really dig the secrets and events the game holds too. When I found out that there was a secret electric ghost Pokemon that you could only get in a TV at night in a haunted house in the middle of the forest, I was like, hell yes! And that's not the only time this happens. Drifloon, I'm looking at you. And oh my god, don't even get me started on the music. To keep things simple for now, this soundtrack is my childhood. Period. And I'll leave it at that. Honestly, if you get me in a tangent about Platinum's music, we'd be here for hours. Someday I'll give it a shot, but not today. Now there's plenty I skipped over, but I hope I've made it clear that this game is one of the greats, and without a doubt, my favorite in the series. But there's more to this video than just praising the game. In my original video, I was having a hard time coping with the reality that I'm growing older. At this time right now, I'm 17 years old, and I'm about to go into my senior year of high school. Needless to say, I was terrified at the time. And I'll admit, I'm still a bit nervous as to what's going to happen after this year, but in all reality, man, everything's gonna be fine. Life isn't gonna end after school. In fact, I'm starting to think that it's where it all begins. Now, why am I saying this? Well, it was this fear of growing up, and this mindset to hold on to my childhood years, that brought about the real topic of this video. You know how I asked way back when if you guys had a special game from your childhood? If so, let me ask you this. Do you ever feel like a kid playing that game again? If you do, then that's one hell of a blessing. And I know exactly what you feel. During this time, I was trying so desperately to hold on to anything that would bring me back. Only a select few games I played from my childhood really make me feel like I did when I first played them, and Platinum is at the top of that list. I don't know, just something about the game hits that sweet spot, you know? But here lies the problem. This game was kind of a crutch in a way. I loved the feeling Platinum gave me, and at most times, that childhood feeling is nothing short of incredible. But due to the circumstances, trying to hold on to my past and all that, it was hindering my maturity. It wasn't the main cause, of course. If I said it was, then I'd be overdramatic, but it wasn't helping my case any. That feeling the game gave me, the stress of trying to stay a kid, and not getting enough sleep either, to be honest, all came together that night and turned into my first attempt at this video. And I think that once I let it all out, that was the reason I forgot about it. So now why did I come back to it after all this time? Well, that's when the second wave hit me. I had another one of those nights very recently, not quite as intense as the first, but it was there. So I listened to my original recording of it, and I don't know what it was, but I felt something shift. I couldn't stop thinking how childish I sounded, how just not me it was. Straight to the point, it disgusted me, and I couldn't stand the thought of what this fear of growing up had turned me into. It was at that point where I took time to reflect on everything, and I came to the conclusion that, like I said before, everything's gonna be fine. Looking back on it, it was this string of events that helped me shake my fears and mature as a person. I guess what I'm trying to say with this video is that we can't stay kids forever. Sometimes we have to be strong and not let our past control our present. Because every day we're given is another day to become something greater, and an opportunity to make today better than the last. And as bad as things may seem, the bad times never last forever. And while they may seem dark now, that just means the sun will be even brighter when it shines. Pokémon Platinum is much more than a game to me. It's my time capsule, my gateway to my past. And even though I'm finally ready to embrace the good times ahead, I'll always have a piece of my childhood to hold on to, wherever I go. Take it easy, everybody, and as always, well, you know.